The business world is making great strides towards more gender parity in the workplace. One of the speakers on this panel here at FII is Todt, Special Envoy of Road Safety at the UN and former President of the FII, Motorsports World Governing Body.
All around the world you have 1.2 million people who die on the road every year. And about 50 million people who are injured with disability. It's number one cause of death and injuries for young generation from 5 to 29.
Thank you very much for your time. How quickly do you think within motorsport that move towards more gender equality is going?
So it has always been a lot of effort, and if you go back in the history, you have some examples of women doing great in motorsport, and I will take, for example, Michèle Mouton. About 40 years ago, she was a strong contender against Walter Earl, Anu Mikola in the World Rally Championship. But of course, what we like to see the woman in Formula One, it's not as obvious because clearly you have only 20 Formula One drivers around the world, and there is more interest from male than from female about motorsport. So at the time, when I was the president of the FIA, I created a women commission, which has to work to try to create some interest through different academy levels with women engaged in karting in different countries. So create a kind of school to be able to go through different categories of motorsport. You have women participating to World Endurance Championship like Le Mans racing. It has been also a category of single-seater, which is occurring before the Formula One Grand Prix. So some actions are undertaken, and the good thing is that there is this strong will to try to make things happening.
The holy grail, though, is Formula One, isn't it? Do you anticipate we will see a woman in Formula One driving regularly in the next 10 years, do you think?
It should be possible. Not obvious, but it should be possible because, as I said, there is more interest from men than from women. But, some steps are moving. Yesterday we had the opportunity of talking about Liberty Media being engaged as a commercial right holder of Formula One, some TV series like Drive to Survive, who have created a strong interest all over the world, but also created interest for women in motorsport.
The driver, if you like, is front of house. It's visible in terms of gender equality within motorsport. What about within the teams and the plans that you might have been discussing when you were at the FIA? How do you see that working out, getting more women in the teams themselves?
No, it has occurred, it is occurring. You have women at different levels. Even some women have been running some Formula One team. So you have women who are engineers in different categories. You have I think it's in Red Bull, the one in charge of strategy during the race is a woman. So here, there is no barrier.
Sean, let's talk about what you're doing now, because your work now sees you traveling around the world trying to improve road safety. What are the current issues, particularly on that concern you?
All around the world, you have 1.2 million people who die on the road every year. And about 50 million people who are injured with disability. It's number one cause of death and injuries for young generation from 5 to 29. 70% of the victims are male. So it demonstrates that, as I was saying earlier, women are safer when they drive. Saying that, for public transportation, for example, it's more unsafe for women, because they are victims of harassment, they are victims of different threats. So we need to address that. I call that a silent pandemic. So that's why we're mentioning I'm traveling around the world, to speak with government, to speak with the private sector to change that. And here we are in a fascinating event when we speak about technology, about the future of the world. But it is important to keep one eye on the world which is under poverty. And you have about 2 billion people who don't have access to public transportation, who are very vulnerable, who don't use a helmet, who are transported like cattle. So it's part of my job to try to make things better.
So from your experience, is it a public information thing? Is it a wealth creation thing? What is it? Is it the state of the roads? I mean, it's a terrifying number that you outlined. What do you put it down to?
You know, we have the prescription. It's around education, law enforcement, quality of vehicles, quality of roads, and quality of post-crash cares. Very simple things would allow to achieve, incidentally, the SDG 3.6, which is to halve the number of victims by 2030, like buckling safety belt, wearing a proper helmet, control of the speed, not text and driving, not drinking and driving. So all that, I mean, are programs on which we are working. Incidentally, we just launched a campaign, UN, with the #1 billboard company, GC Deco, in 1,000 cities, 80 countries, where we have about 15 celebrities who are launching strong message on that. So it's one of the program we have to create more awareness about road safety.
We're here at the FII 8, and there's a lot of talk about investment here in all sorts of fields. What are the opportunities for investment in this, in road safety?
Yeah, I will tell you a terrific figure. The cost of road crashes around the world is about 2 trillion every year. You know, so less victims, less cost. It's about 3 to 10% of the GDP of countries around the world. So here, all the people who are here, who are leaders in industry, in banking, in technology, have a strong role to play. Incidentally, I mean, yesterday the CEO of Google mentioned how important it was.
Where does driverless cars come into all this? Or is it such a small percentage of society right at the top and the wealthy that actually it's immaterial to the conversation?
You know, in more than half of the planet, the age of vehicles are between 30 to 50 years old age. So can you imagine, here we are talking about elites, autonomous car, electric car, hydrogen car, but again, you have half of the population who doesn't have access to proper public transportation. So we must think about the future of technology, but we must also think about those who do not have access to those technologies.
Well, let's just finish though with the future of those who do and are lucky enough to have access to a car, and what you foresee the fuel with which we will be using our vehicles in the next 10 years. Is it going to be hydrogen? Is it going to be more electric? What do you think it will look like?
It will be a combination. You know, zero-emission fuel, you can have it. Incidentally, in Formula One, from 2030 on, it will be zero emission. Then I do believe in electric car, but in a sense more in cities, you know, because of the range of the car and of the time of recharging. I do believe in hydrogen, which is a very interesting technology. And last but not least, hybrid car, you know, which is a kind, I think it's probably the most sensible way of thinking about the future of motoring, with half combustion, half electric.
Jean, thank you very much indeed.
My pleasure.